My entitled boss demands that I fix a plumbing issue at a hotel I was working at. But despite the fact that I am most definitely not a plumber and I don't really know what I'm doing, I decided to maliciously comply, resulting in the worst flood this hotel has probably ever seen, costing them thousands of dollars in the process. Here's what happened. Okay, so I was working in a hotel in the United Kingdom as a lobby boy. My afternoon job was to handle guest requests for extra pillows, blankets, etc. And the system worked like this. The guests informed reception, the details were written in a notebook, and every so often I checked the book, solved the problems, and ticked them off when done. Well, one night during dinner, the hotel boss wrote a note in the book that said the following. It listed off the room number and then it said the hot water tap is not working. Now I went to the room and I checked it and yeah, it definitely was not working. I then went back and I wrote in the book that I can't fix it and you need to call a plumber. On my next round, there was a new message. It said fix it now, underlined 3 times. Well, I went back to the room, checked the hot water tap again, and as a side note, in the United Kingdom, there are 2 taps on the sink, one for cold and one for hot, and still I couldn't fix it. I tried a few things until somehow the pipe, the one from the wall to the sink, popped right out. And right then, boiling hot water started pouring all over the floor at full force. And it was right about here that I started to panic. I grabbed the phone and I called reception, and guess what? They were busy. So I sprinted through the hotel, I jumped into reception and I shouted, "We need a plumber right now." Then I rushed back to the room. The water was still gushing out at full force. So I just sat on the edge of the bathtub, holding the pipe so that the water poured into the tub instead of flooding the floor. After about 3 minutes of this, the hotel boss peeked into the bathroom, went pale, and then ran away. 5 more minutes passed, and the fire alarm started going off because of the steam. Fortunately, the staff already knew what was happening, so they told all the guests that it was a false alarm and didn't evacuate the hotel. Another 10 minutes later, they finally shut off the water supply to the entire wing of the hotel, and then a plumber arrived and fixed the tap in 3 minutes. Now this is where the fun part comes in, cleaning this mess up. Surprisingly, there wasn't much water in the bathroom, considering the tap had been gushing for over 15 minutes. So I went 1 floor down to see where all that water had gone. I entered the room's bathroom, switched on the light, but it was really dim. And it's then that I realized the bowl-shaped lamp covered on the bathroom ceiling was filled to the brim with water, with the light bulb happily sitting inside of it. I think to myself, oh my god, and right then I turned the light off. I drained the water from the lamp cover, mopped up that floor too, but still, it didn't seem like enough water for what had happened. So I went even lower. Below that bathroom on the ground floor, there was a corridor, luckily not another room, but the ceiling had gotten so wet that it collapsed. In fact, a 2x3 meter section of it had come crashing down onto the carpet. After 15 minutes in a sauna-like bathroom, 30 minutes of cleaning and clearing the rubble, I finally stepped outside for some fresh air. And ever since then, whenever I say I can't fix something, these people actually believe me and call a professional. Because trust me, we don't need that happening a second time. Oh man, this is tragic because seriously, what were these people thinking? Did they really think that you were somehow qualified to fix a plumbing issue? I just love it when managers are so incompetent and they seriously try to sit there and save money by forcing you to do something that you're not qualified to do. Like, that is so obnoxious. I would lose my mind if I was in your shoes. So good for you for at least making an effort to try and fix it, even though you definitely did not know what you were doing. And in my opinion, if it popped out of the wall like that, then it was only a matter of time before that actually happened, regardless of if you actually got involved or not. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that this is not your fault, and the management that you had to deal with are complete morons. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for not giving back my ex-boyfriend a gift that I received from his great-grandmother that celebrated my pregnancy at the time? Because right now, I'm convinced he wants my gift so that he can give it to his new girlfriend. And at this point, I'm incredibly annoyed and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. To start things out, my ex and I have been broken up for just about 3 years now. For context, we had a child together in our relationship, and we are both currently in new relationships. And his new girlfriend is pregnant with his second child. He's 22 and I'm 23. Recently, I received a message from my ex asking for a stone-carved pregnant elephant that was gifted to me by his great-grandmother 5 years back. His grandmother sadly passed a year back, and he is currently asking for it back. First of all, I asked him why he wanted it back, as it was a gift for me during my pregnancy. A bit more context is that we visited his family, and his grandmother had elephants everywhere in her room. I made a comment about how beautiful her collection was, as some of them were very unique, and when I said that, she lit up and insisted I take one as a welcome to the family present. I tried to politely tell her that I would feel horrible to break up her collection, but she kept insisting. At this point, I didn't want to be rude, and I said okay, and walked around with her as she told me stories of how she got some of the elephants. appearance. Anyways, we stumble upon the stone-carved elephant with a carved-out tummy with a baby inside. She heavily implied that my choice should be that specific elephant as it fits the situation perfectly, especially with me being pregnant at the time. I smile and accepted, and I thanked her for letting me carry a part of her collection with me. She gave me a hug and accepted me into part of the family. My ex, who I guess got a bit jealous, wanted to pick out an elephant of his own, so he got to do so as well. Now back to current day. He told me due to the passing of his grandmother, he wanted to have the elephant to put with a gift that he got with his great-grandfather so that they could both be together. When I asked him why he specifically wanted mine, he kept dodging the question and said it belonged to his grandmother, and it being gifted from her to me held no value. But I reminded him that he got to choose his own that day, and he dodged that as well, calling me selfish and a lowlife. Part of me is more than willing to give it back to him, but part of me knows that he is going to gift this elephant to his new girlfriend, all because of her new pregnancy. And I say this because I know his narcissistic and manipulative personality. Because why would he ask me now and not a year ago upon her passing? So seriously, am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now I'm incredibly annoyed. No, you're not the jerk at all, because that's exactly what he's gonna do. The only reason he wants that gift back is because you guys didn't work out and his new girlfriend is pregnant. Like seriously, that's the only reason. So in my opinion, you have no obligation to give this back to this guy because he clearly is just gonna regift it. Today, someone tried to scam me on Facebook Marketplace by trying to make me click a link so that they could pay me money for the item I was selling. But thankfully, I saw right through their scam, as I ended up blocking them after they started cussing me out, demanding that I click the link. Here's what happened. Okay, I want to preface this story by saying that I'm from Canada, and we have something called e-transfer, much like Cash App or Zelle, but this is directly linked to our banks, and it's free. Okay, so I'm trying to sell something on Facebook Marketplace, which is honestly not a big deal. I then get a message asking if this item is still available, and I respond yes. The scammer then answers quickly, asking if they can e-transfer me the money and pick it up the week after, as they don't have the time to grab it. And again, that's fine. I send them my email so they can send the money to my bank account, and I will hold the item until they come and grab it. Once they let me know the money is sent, I go and check my bank account, as I have it set to auto deposit, and the moment it's sent, it should be in my bank, but the amount hasn't changed. So I read the message they sent following the one about them transferring the money. They tell me to check my spam folder, as it may have ended up in there. Now for reference, e-transfer emails from actual people will never be in your spam folder. So I open the email, and honestly, it just looks off. And alarm bells are ringing because it really should have been auto-deposited. So I messaged the scammer explaining that it should already be in my account, to which they responded I need to click the link to get the money. I then go back in my email, reverse search the email address, and find evidence that they are straight up a full scammer. With that info, I go back into the conversation, and I tell them that the link isn't working, and that they can pay cash on arrival. Well, they blew up at me. They were cussing and swearing at me, writing that it's not that hard to click the link. Are you stupid? Just follow the instructions. Well, I promptly reported and blocked them, and then proceeded to raise my security on my email and change my password. Because I'm sure if I actually clicked that link, everything in my life probably would have changed in the worst way possible. Wow, this is a really scary situation. You're just trying to sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and this guy's trying to shake you down and be like, oh, just click the link already. It's not that hard. And it's like, buddy, what are you doing? This is so weird. Because you know for a fact the second you click that link, your life is going to come to a screeching halt, as your device is not only going to be completely bugged and probably ruined forever, but also it's just going to be a nightmare getting that fixed. So good for you for knowing exactly how to handle this, and for blocking this guy and getting that guy out of your life, because things could have been way different if you actually did end up clicking that link. Today, I messed up by buying coffee for the wrong person, as I was intending to give it to somebody who would let me get into the drive-thru in a timely manner. Here's what happened. So this morning, as I'm headed into work, I pull into Tim Hortons drive-thru for my usual. Now, in this particular stretch to my workplace, there are two Tim Hortons located about two small intersections apart, but the one that I visit all the time is down for maintenance, and so I, as well as many others, were forced to funnel into option B, and the result was a pretty packed house. What makes this Tim Hortons location tricky is that it's positioned at the corner of an already busy intersection, so there are two entrances, and one is by far more convenient than the other. This means people have to learn how to take turns, but the catch is that people don't know how to take turns. So I arrive on the inconvenient side of the aforementioned Tim Hortons lot, and nobody is letting me in. Mind you, I'm pretty well backed off with my signal on, waiting for someone to let me in. But finally, after waiting for several minutes, someone finally flashes me in. Man, what a good person. I think to myself, let me just pay for their order. I get to the window and I pay for both orders and I head off on my way. But as I'm exiting the area, I look back to find a blue Hyundai next in line, and the car that let me in was a black Honda. It's then that I realized they probably let someone else in after me as well. So regardless, enjoy your coffee, random stranger, and I hope you passed on the goodwill to the guy who did us both a solid favor. Oh, I love this story because you actually tried to do a good deed, but instead you did a good deed for somebody else instead of the person you were trying to do it for. Like, I think the intention is all that counts, and most of the time when you do something like that, you really do start like a pay it forward situation where people will like pay for each other's like coffee all the way down the line, and that is really cool in my opinion. So sure, you bought coffee for the wrong person, but I think in the end there is a chance you did a lot of good for a lot of other people, and that in my opinion makes this whole situation very worth it. Am I the jerk for leaving a family gathering and taking the cake with me after my family very clearly hurt my feelings? Because after I tried to announce that I was 1 year sober from alcohol, they literally brushed it over and made me feel very small for even talking about it. And at this point, I'm honestly very offended and I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 27-year-old female and I hit 1 year sober from alcohol at the beginning of the year. This was a huge accomplishment for me. It was bigger to me than finishing college. I told my family that the next time we were together for family dinner, I had something to celebrate. And this all happened at my mom's place. The kids were playing and the adults were hanging out. And it was then that I took the moment to share that I had reached 1 year sobriety and how good I felt about it. Well, they all went and said, "Oh, that's what you were talking about? Has it been a year already?" And honestly, I am embarrassed to admit I hope that someone would say that they're proud of me. My brother-in-law, who we will call Steve, looked at my sister and they both said, "Well," at the same time. And she said, "Since we're all here, the niece just got into a specific gymnastics thing. It's been a long road, but she finally did it." Steve then popped some wine that they'd brought and started giving everyone glasses and cups. He made eye contact with me and his face fell. At this point, I had this gnawing feeling, so I got up from the table and I took a walk. I tried to get through the moment mentally so I could be present for my niece to celebrate her success. But when I got back to the house, my sister asked me why I left without saying anything. I said that I needed a minute to myself. She then just looked at me funny and said, "Okay." I said I had shared something I was very proud of, and she just bulldozed right over it. My mom put her hand up and asked me what my news was, and I said that I told them I hit 1 year sobriety. My mom said my generation always wanted praise for doing the bare minimum, and that this wasn't an accomplishment, but it was just something I needed to do, like graduating high school. Now, I tried to make it through to dinner, but found myself just not in the mood anymore, so I decided to go home. Now, here's the direct thing that I'm being called the jerk for. I had brought a small cake, which was one of my favorite flavors, to share after dinner. It was the thing I decided I had earned. The kids had definitely seen it, but on my way out, I decided to take it home with me. I guess when they realized the cake wasn't in the garage fridge anymore, my sister called to ask why I took it. I said I did because it was my cake to celebrate my accomplishment. She then said to me, "Are you kidding me? Oh my God, grow up. You are such a baby." My mom later texted me directly to tell me how disappointed she was that I threw a tantrum because my niece got more attention than me. Now, I don't think that her read of what happened is right, but that is also why I'm asking you guys. So seriously, am I the jerk for taking the cake home with me as I left? Was that really childish of me, considering the kids saw it and then they just didn't get any? As I was putting on my shoes to leave, Steve found me and directly apologized and said that he was completely oblivious in the moment. I know he did not do anything to intentionally hurt me, but I'm honestly still hurt, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Okay, first of all, no, you are not the jerk because my God, these people are so insensitive. Who in their right mind, upon hearing that their family member is sober for a single year, would be like, "Wow, that's not even that much of an accomplishment. You're just supposed to do that. Your generation's always looking for praise." It's like, dude, what are you talking about right now? The original poster clearly had an addiction that they were trying to beat, and these people literally brushed it off and tried to be like, "Well, that's not that big of a deal. That's just what you're supposed to do." And it's like, what are you talking about? That is such a big deal. This probably took such a long time to find any kind of like footing on this problem. I know plenty of people who are addicted to alcohol who have had their lives ruined because of this, and these people are trying to be like, "Well, this is just what you're supposed to do. It's not that big of a deal. By the way, look at the niece. She's into gymnastics." Like, if I was in the original poster shoes, I would be beyond pissed. I would never want to share anything with my family ever again. Thank God you had Steve at least be like, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I'm so sorry." Like, that's the only decent person in this entire family, in my opinion. So are you the jerk for taking the cake with you? My God, of course not. These people don't deserve your cake because you were hoping for some kind of moment with your family where you can at least find some kind of recognition for what you did. And yes, it absolutely deserves recognition. You changed your life for the better. You literally decided, "I'm not going to drink anymore and I'm going to be sober." over, and you fought tooth and nail to get where you're at. So for these people to act like you threw a temper tantrum after you decided, no, I'm not going to deal with this, like that's not a tantrum in the slightest. Instead, this is you setting boundaries, and these people can't handle those boundaries. And that is their problem, not yours. So no, you're definitely not the jerk. I'm personally very proud of your accomplishment, and I think what you did is a big deal, even if your family decides to brush it over. This next story came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Am I the jerk for not telling my friend that her boyfriend has been unfaithful? Because after the way they've treated me in the past, I honestly don't feel apologetic, but also I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, long story short, I didn't tell my friend that her ex-boyfriend, who was also my friend, confessed to me 3 months ago that he cheated on her before their breakup. He also admitted to cheating on the person he dated after her with my friend. Now here's why I didn't tell her. Whenever I shared anything about her ex in the past, she confronted him and mentioned my name as the source, but he would twist things, accuse me of spreading rumors or being crazy, and everything would eventually blow up. On top of that, my friend has always been unreliable. Whenever I need to confirm something, she conveniently just forgets about it. When her ex didn't like me talking to him, whether during their relationship or after the breakup, she would deny things, throwing me under the bus to avoid upsetting him. She was also never a dependable friend. I felt like a toy that she uses for her amusement or convenience. She expects me to be loyal and supportive, but she wouldn't do the same for me ever. 3 months ago, when her ex confessed to cheating, I didn't tell her because I knew how it would play out. She would confront him, use me as the source, and he would twist my words or escalate things further. Worse yet, he had already made statements about filing a harassment complaint against her. From my point of view, she had been incessantly following and stalking him, which likely contributed to his frustration. The day he cheated on the other girl with her was my birthday. I had booked an Airbnb to celebrate, but she arrived late with him, not to celebrate with me, but because she wanted an excuse to be around him and stop him from running away. She didn't spend any time with me. I mean, I was just completely used. And this wasn't an isolated issue. She often asked me to plead her case with him, but as soon as he pushed back, she twisted the facts to make me look like I was meddling. She would throw me under the bus to avoid discrediting herself in front of him. She also frequently called me in distress, whether she was crying, hurting herself, or having a panic attack, and she always begged for me to mediate, find out his whereabouts, or deliver messages because he was avoiding her for whatever reason. Now, I help because I care about her, but if things went wrong, she sided with him and left me to deal with the fallout. Well, a week ago, I eventually told another friend in our group of 3 exactly what's happening, but that friend couldn't hold it in and confessed everything to her while she was vulnerable. I later asked if my friend thought I should have told her, and she said yes. She also said this wasn't something to discuss over a call. Since then, my friend has been passive-aggressive, but I don't feel apologetic. For 2 years, I've been telling her to dump this guy for countless reasons. He never even called her his girlfriend, which I really found odd. But more than that, the relationship was so toxic. At this point, I'm done being dragged into their mess. So seriously, am I the jerk for the way things went down? Because at this point, I don't know what to do. This is honestly probably the most messiest thing I've seen in a while. Seriously, these friends all suck across the board. People are complaining, they're using you to try and mediate, and then when it doesn't go as planned, they throw you under the bus as if you're at fault. For me, if that happened one time, I would be like, okay, I'm never doing that again. But for some reason, you keep coming back for more. I just don't get it. These don't sound like friends. If anything, it sounds like it's people who are just using you so they can accomplish their goals at your expense. How on earth are you still in the middle of all this drama? Seriously. If I was in your shoes, I would be kicking these people to the curb and finding new friends. These people suck so much, I just don't know why you're around them. They sound very unreliable and, if anything, just a massive basket case. So no, you're not the jerk in this situation because these people do not sound like good friends in the slightest. And if you want to have some kind of peace in your life, in my opinion, I think it would be a good idea to find different people to hang out with. Am I the jerk for not giving my dad the tattoo design that I got with my brother? Because after my dad cheated on my mom, the entire family is now torn apart. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. For a bit of context, my older brother and I got matching Star Wars lightsaber tattoos. They are in the same spot, but different colors and handles. They have a lot of meaning to me and his bonding growing up, and we got them back in 2018. Since then, my dad and mom have begun the process to a very messy divorce. Long story short, he cheated again, and as his own children were now all about to graduate high school, he didn't think twice about getting up and leaving to start a new family. A whole lot of drama unfolded, which led to my brother tearing him a new one via phone call and completely cutting contact. My sister and mom moved in with me, and to keep the peace from my mother during this process, process, I've been answering phone calls and messages from my dad, more out of obligation than desire to have contact. Fast forward to right before Christmas, and my sister and I got trapped into a much too lengthy lunch that we weren't anticipating. After a long and very apparent forced conversation, he asked to see my tattoo. He has asked me to create a matching one for him, just changing the color and the handle so he can get it tattooed as well. And he wants it in the same spot too. At this point, my sister and I made heavy eye contact since her and I thought that it was a little bit crazy. He had said for years that he didn't want to get another tattoo when he was with my mom, so it was a little bit out of nowhere. My sister hasn't gotten this tattoo and wasn't sure she wanted to get it to join the sibling grouping, but definitely doesn't want it if he gets it. I know this doesn't change the meaning or significance of my brother and I having the tattoo, and it's not a big deal to design it either, since all I did for my brother and I's, in terms of sketch for the artist, was just show the handle and the roughs of the watercolor effect that we agreed that we wanted. I did tell my brother, but didn't get much opinion other than a disbelieving chortle. So should I just suck it up and continue to keep the piece and send him the drawings? Because right now I honestly don't know what to do. Okay, maybe this is just me, but it seems like your dad has literally torn apart the entire family. He was cheating, he got caught cheating, and now he's starting his own family. And it seems like he's only wanting to get this tattoo so that he can be connected to you guys in some kind of like weird forced manner. So no, in my opinion, I would not give him the design to the drawings. He quite literally tore this entire family apart. Now they're going through a messy divorce and everything is going up on its end. So if I was in your shoes, regardless of how easy it was to make those designs, there is no way I would ever hand them over, because I don't think he should be able to steal that tattoo design just so he can use it for himself under the false guise that you guys are still considered family. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.